Back in 2014, I was a part of a U.S. Army radio operations team. This story is the most terrifying and inexplicable moment of my entire military career. It was the night we received a distress call from a squad that was officially declared dead. It was a cold and quiet night in 2014. We were stationed deep in the lush yet dangerous regions of northern Afghanistan. Our base, a secret forward operating camp, was hidden in the folds of the surrounding mountains, an area already infamous for swallowing entire squads. At exactly 2:38 a.m., I heard a scratchy, fading voice crackle through the radio. "Delta, Mayday. We need help. They're not human." I snapped to attention. The other operator beside me leaned in. "Was that Delta Squad?" I checked the logs in a hurry. The problem was, Delta Squad had gone MIA 2 weeks ago. No bodies, no return. Eventually, HQ had declared them KIA, killed in action. But now, their voices were returning. Alive? Or something else? We reported immediately to HQ. The response came swiftly. "Do not shut off the radio, keep listening." It was a strange order, but we obeyed. For the next 24 hours, the same transmissions kept repeating. "They see us in the trees. Don't fall asleep. Sergeant Miller is gone. He walked into the shadows." These weren't just words, they felt real. Their fear, their breath, their dread. But the voices were muffled, like they were echoing from a deep well. Sometimes the voices would abruptly stop, and we'd hear something else in the background. Whispers, laughter, slithering. On the third day, we were given the order. "You will deploy to the coordinates, recon and rescue." Our team, myself, James Carter, Lieutenant Marcus Hale, Corporal Benji Ortiz, Private Lane Wilson, Sergeant Mason Ford. We boarded a Black Hawk and headed into the wilderness. The final signal originated from a valley buried in forest. Locals called it Shaitan Dara, the Devil's Valley. We landed around 6 p.m. The forest air was thick, wet, and stinking, like something was rotting. We set up camp and kept the radio scanning active. Around midnight, the radio screamed again. "Run! They're in our minds now." Then, something moved between the trees. Wilson switched to night vision and froze. "Sir, someone's standing out there, but I can't see him. It's just a shadow, not moving, watching." We approached the figure, weapons drawn. As we got within 3 feet, it vanished. Then,
Benji began screaming, not from pain, but madness. "They're inside me, in my thoughts. Don't look at me. Don't look."
we tackled him to the ground, sedated him, and restrained him. But what we saw in his eyes still haunts our sleep. At first light, we began a sweep. About half a mile in, we found the remains of Delta Squad's camp. It was old, rotting, but one thing was fresh. Blood. Marks were everywhere. Claw prints, finger smears, drag trails. On a tree nearby, someone had scrawled in blood, "We never left." Ford read it out loud and looked down. I asked, "What does it mean?" He simply replied, "Maybe they didn't die, or maybe something stayed behind." That night, Benji disappeared. Only his boots remained, next to a long, dragging mark that led into a hollow tree. Inside, we found an old camcorder. We ran back to camp and played the footage. It was Delta Squad. 5 soldiers, visibly exhausted. One of them constantly looking over his shoulder.
"They're copying us, our voices, our shape. They're becoming us."
The footage ended with a dark figure approaching the camera. Just before it cut out, one chilling sentence echoed, "Don't bring them home." We decided to RTB, return to base, immediately. But our radio went silent. GPS failed. Paths in the forest disappeared. That night, Ford took his own life. No note, only one phrase scratched into the wall of his tent. "They saw me." On the 5th day, a rescue chopper finally arrived. Only Marcus, Wilson, and I were left. But as I boarded, I looked into Wilson's eyes. They were empty, completely. And then he whispered, "You didn't leave them behind, did you?" I froze. Even now, those voices haunt my radio. I've thrown it away more than once, but it turns itself back on. Last week, the same message played again. "We're still here. Bring more." So if you're hearing this, remember, not every mission returns. And not every death is final. Sometimes turning the radio off is the only way to survive. Otherwise, you'll just become another scream, echoing in the forest with Delta Squad. It all began the day we were sent on a classified mission to an abandoned military base hidden deep within the Nevada desert. This base, known as Black Flag Facility, had been shut down for over a decade, but suddenly it started transmitting a strange mechanical distress signal. Our team consisted of 6 members. Captain Rhodes, a tough but brave commander. Sergeant Thomas Reeds, myself, a seasoned soldier. Corporal Jenny Blake, a brilliant tech expert. Private Lewis, the youngest but fearless. Specialist Grant, quiet but a weaponry genius. Medic Carla, our medical support. The moment we arrived at the base, something felt off. The silence, the dust-covered buildings, and a strange humidity in the air. It felt as if time itself had stopped. Our first mistake was assuming this was just a routine disturbance. But the moment we stepped inside, we realized this place wasn't what we'd been told. The inside of the facility was unnaturally preserved, as if someone had just left minutes ago. Half-filled cups on tables, computers still running, experimental notes on the walls. Everything was frozen in time. All of this, still here after so many years? Jenny whispered. Our scanners showed no signs of human heat, but we could feel eyes watching us. Grant signaled us to head toward the underground bunker, the place where the real experiments were conducted. Along the way, the walls were covered with strange symbols. Some looked like they were drawn with bloody hands. When we opened the lab door, we felt the first real disturbance. A shadow, maybe not even real, or maybe our eyes were deceiving us. Jenny accessed the main computer system. There we found a video log labeled Project Lazarus. Do not play. We need to see this, Rhodes insisted. The video showed a terrified doctor staring into the camera. We tried to defeat death, but death came back, and it brought hell with it. Suddenly the camera shook, screams echoed. A blurry, unnatural figure appeared behind the doctor. The moment the video ended, a surge hit us, like something had just awakened. Night had fallen. We locked ourselves in the control room. Strange sounds came from outside, knocking on the doors, scratching from inside the walls. I felt someone touch my shoulder, Lewis said, but there was no one behind me. We took turns keeping watch all night, but none of us slept. Every shadow was a new fear, every noise, a scream waiting to happen. Carla whispered, "This place breathes, and I think it wants to swallow us whole." By morning, Jenny was gone. Her bed was empty, but deep claw marks on the floor showed she had been dragged away. Rhodes immediately ordered evacuation, but when we reached the main gate, it was gone. In its place was just a wall, as if the gate had never existed. "We need to go back to the lab," Grant said. "Maybe there's another way out." Back in the lab, we found a hidden door we hadn't seen before. It led to an underground chamber where it was kept. Inside a massive glass capsule was a body, a soldier, still twitching from time to time. His heartbeat still going. The video log revealed it was a former soldier subjected to the Lazarus Project. He died and came back, but he didn't come back human. Suddenly, the capsule burst open. The lights failed, the doors slammed shut. Then the screams. Lewis, Carla, Grant vanished, one by one. Now I'm the only one left. Rhodes sacrificed himself so I could escape. I crawled through the ventilation shaft and made it to an old communications tower near the facility's edge. I'm sending this transmission from there. What was inside Black Flag Facility is now free. I don't know how far this message will travel, but if you're hearing this, stay away from that place. It's alive, and it's looking for more of the once dead. A retired military corporal. If you're hearing this, perhaps this is the first time I reveal what I've never told anyone. This story takes you to my deployment in the northeastern borderlands of Afghanistan. We were 5 soldiers, sent for just 2 weeks. Yet from day one, what we saw shattered both our logic and faith. It was 2011. We received word that FOB Echo an old American military base near the Afghan border, was being reactivated. The base had been abandoned years ago due to several unexplained fatalities among soldiers. But our command dismissed it all. These are just rumors. You're there for 2 weeks. That's it. Our team, Corporal Thomas Reeds, me, Sergeant Mike Donovan, Private Aaron Beck, Specialist Javed Khan, interpreter, Lieutenant Rachel Cruz, team leader. We traveled by mountain roads. Locals vanished into their huts when they saw us. An old man simply said, "Don't go. At night you hear voices there." We cleaned the barracks. Some walls and floors had old bloodstains. Javed told us locals called it the silent graveyard because at night, shadows shift in the lights and voices echo. Nothing unusual happened that first night, but around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps outside the rear gate. Mike and I went to check, but found nothing, except boot prints leading inward toward the base. On the third day, we discovered a classified file in the storeroom labeled Project Stone Light Classified. Inside was a report from the previous year. 5 soldiers had vanished mysteriously. Later, remains were found underground, but the graves had never been dug by anyone. Rachel shut the report, saying, "Those were old events. We're here just 2 weeks. Focus on duty." Yet that same night, we heard a scream from her tent. We found her trembling. Someone came into my tent. Their eyes, they were burning. The next morning, Mike and Aaron decided to investigate the base's oldest and most feared barracks. We entered 4 of us. The door was rusted, but open. Scratches on the floor looked as if someone clawed the wood with nails. On one wall, a message in blood read, "We are not dead." Then Javed noticed a hidden trapdoor leading downward. We dared to descend and saw the worst nightmare of our lives. That basement looked like a clandestine experiments lab. There were cages, human fingernails stuck to walls, and an old wired radio that turned itself on. A whisper crackled over it. "You're late." Aaron raised his rifle in fear, but the next moment, he vanished. One blink later, he was gone. Only his helmet remained. Rachel tried calling for evac, but outside the base, there was no signal. We climbed back up. Aaron was gone. That night, Mike pointed his gun right at me, eyes glowing red. "They speak in my soul. They want me to join them." We sedated him and tied him, but next morning, he disappeared. In the graveyard behind the base, a brand new grave appeared. The tombstone under flickering lamplight read, "Donovan." Tears in his voice, Javed said, "We crossed a line. They're taking us, one by one." Only Rachel and I remained. Every night, shadows drifted outside barracks. From the basement came children's voices, warped and distant. One night, I turned the lab radio on again. It whispered, "You can't leave now." Next morning, we tried to walk out, but the mountain path had changed. It was like the land had shifted, geography altered. Rachel began reciting prayers, crying, "This place is not alive, it's playing with us." Rachel vanished the following night. I heard a scream, then silence. Her tent was empty. Her rifle was found at the bottom step leading to the basement. The next morning, I fired a flare. By a miracle, an Army helicopter saw it. I was evacuated and have been in psychiatric care ever since. FOB Echo no longer exists on maps. The government claims that base never was. Yet stains of blood remain on my arms, from Aaron and Rachel. If you ever come across an abandoned military base, remember, someone or something may still be patrolling. Something that never returned. Quiet graves often speak the loudest. You just don't hear them.